Emotions are powerful, and they shape so much of our daily lives. We feel joy, sadness, excitement, fear, anger, an entire spectrum of emotions. But what often happens is that we begin to associate ourselves too closely with these feelings. We think, "I'm angry," or "I'm sad," and we define ourselves by those moments. But the truth is, emotions are transient, they come and go, and they don't define who we are as people. I've experienced this in my own journey, from the highs of receiving recognition for my work to the lows of personal struggles that come with public life. There were moments when I felt overwhelmed, moments when I doubted myself or felt vulnerable. But in those moments, I had to remind myself, just because I'm experiencing a particular emotion doesn't mean that emotion represents who I am at my core. It doesn't define my worth, my potential, or my future. The power lies in the understanding that emotions are temporary, and they are simply reactions to the world around us. They arise based on our thoughts, experiences, or circumstances at a given time. But those thoughts and experiences don't make us who we are. We are more than just our emotional responses. We are our values, our aspirations, and our actions. For example, anger may surface when something feels unfair, and sadness may arise when we experience loss, but neither of those emotions reflect our overall identity. If we allow ourselves to be defined by those feelings, we risk losing sight of our true selves. I've learned that I am not defined by a fleeting moment of frustration or sorrow. Instead, I am defined by how I choose to rise above those emotions, how I learn from them, and how I move forward with grace. In essence, emotions are signals, guides that point us towards something deeper, but they are not the essence of who we are. We are the individuals who have the power to process, reflect, and respond. We are not the anger, the fear, or the sadness that we sometimes feel. When we stop identifying ourselves by these emotions, we unlock a deeper strength within us, a strength that allows us to move through the ups and downs of life with resilience and poise. Self-awareness is often described as the ability to observe oneself objectively, to recognize one's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment. But it's more than just knowing what's going on inside you. It's about understanding why you feel the way you do and how those feelings influence your actions. It's an incredibly powerful tool for emotional control because without it, we're at the mercy of our impulses and reactions. When we are self-aware, we gain the ability to pause, reflect, and choose how to respond. Over the years, I've learned that self-awareness is the key to unlocking emotional resilience. When you understand why you're feeling a certain way, it's easier to deal with those emotions. For example, in moments of stress or pressure, I often pause and ask myself, why am I feeling overwhelmed? Is it because of the task ahead, or is there something deeper, like fear of failure or the need for perfection? By acknowledging these emotions instead of pushing them aside, I can process them more effectively and respond thoughtfully. It's important to realize that self-awareness doesn't just apply in moments of crisis or distress. It's something we must practice every day. Every emotion, every reaction is an opportunity for introspection. When we're self-aware, we begin to recognize patterns in our emotional responses. Perhaps we notice that we tend to feel anxious in social situations, or that certain words from others trigger an emotional response. This awareness allows us to break those patterns and gain more control over how we react. But it's not just about identifying your emotions. It's about understanding their origins. Are your feelings rooted in past experiences, insecurities, or unmet needs? Recognizing these underlying causes allows us to address the root of the issue, rather than simply reacting to the surface-level emotion. It's this level of deep self-awareness that fosters emotional growth and self-regulation. Self-awareness also promotes empathy. When you understand yourself, you're better able to understand others. You can recognize that their emotions might not be a direct attack on you, but rather a reflection of their own experiences. This helps to foster more compassionate and thoughtful interactions, both with yourself and with those around you. Ultimately, self-awareness is a continuous journey. It's about taking the time to check in with yourself, to ask questions, and to be kind to yourself along the way. By practicing self-awareness, you empower yourself to take control of your emotional state, transforming your reactions into conscious decisions that align with your values and aspirations. In the whirlwind of life, chaos is inevitable. There will always be moments of uncertainty, unpredictability, and stress, whether it's dealing with a demanding career, personal struggles, or the constant noise of daily responsibilities. In these moments, it's easy to get swept away by the intensity of emotions and external pressures, but what I've learned is that true strength lies in embracing calm amid the chaos. When faced with stressful situations, our instinct is often to react quickly, to make decisions out of anxiety, or to let our emotions take the wheel, but this only perpetuates the cycle of chaos. Instead, the key to maintaining control is to find a sense of calm within yourself, no matter how chaotic the world around you may seem. This doesn't mean ignoring the reality of the situation or pretending that everything is fine. It's about cultivating a space of inner peace where you can think clearly and make rational decisions. I've had to practice this skill over the years, especially when navigating the pressures of being in the public eye or managing multiple projects at once. In these high-stress moments, I've learned that the best way to regain control is to pause. Even if it's just for a few moments, stepping back and taking a deep breath helps to reset your emotional state. This space of calm allows you to regain perspective and respond with intention rather than reacting impulsively. The practice of embracing calm is also about mindfulness, being present in the moment instead of worrying about what's ahead or dwelling on what's past. When we focus on the present, we take away the power of future anxieties and past regrets. It's this present, moment awareness that allows us to stay grounded when everything around us feels like it's falling apart. There's another aspect of embracing calm in chaos, learning to trust yourself. In the midst of confusion or pressure, the ability to remain calm comes from having confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. I've realized that the more I trust myself, the more naturally calm I become. This self-trust doesn't mean that I have all the answers. It means that I trust my capacity to navigate the unknown and to respond thoughtfully, no matter the circumstances. Ultimately, the chaos of life will always be there. But by cultivating a sense of calm, we not only protect our emotional well-being, we empower ourselves to make the best decisions and move forward with clarity, resilience, and grace. We often face situations in life where we feel overwhelmed by external factors, whether it's stress at work, personal challenges, or even the opinions and judgments of others. In these moments, it can seem like everything is beyond our control, and our emotions can spiral. But one of the most empowering lessons I've learned is that you are in control, no matter the circumstances. It's easy to believe that we're at the mercy of external events or other people's actions. But the truth is, the one thing we always have control over is how we choose to respond. The power of emotional control doesn't lie in controlling everything around us. It lies in controlling how we allow the world to affect us. I've had my fair share of challenges, from being constantly under the public eye to dealing with personal losses, and I've learned that my response is what shapes my experience, not the situation itself. There is incredible freedom in realizing that your emotional state doesn't have to be dictated by the chaos happening around you. When I find myself in stressful or difficult situations, I remind myself that I don't have to let my emotions dictate my actions. I may feel angry, frustrated, or upset, but I don't have to act on those feelings in a way that undermines my sense of peace or purpose. This is where emotional control comes into play. It's about acknowledging what you feel without letting those emotions take charge of your decisions and actions. What I've come to understand is that our emotions are not weaknesses. They're signals, providing us with important insights into what's happening in our lives. But they don't have to drive our every action. When we learn to pause, reflect, and assess the situation, we gain the clarity to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. The power to choose how to respond in any given moment is a reflection of the control we have over our own lives. This also extends to the inner dialogue we have with ourselves. When faced with adversity, I remind myself that my thoughts do not have to be negative or limiting. Instead of succumbing to doubt or fear, I choose to redirect my thinking towards solutions and positivity. At the end of the day, emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about acknowledging them and making intentional choices that align with your values. You may not always be able to control what happens to you, but you always have control over how you respond, and that is where your true strength lies. Emotions, often seen as uncontrollable forces, can actually be one of our greatest assets if we learn to harness them effectively. They hold immense power, and when used properly, they can propel us forward toward our goals and dreams. The key is to understand that emotions aren't something to fear or suppress, but something to embrace and channel into action. Throughout my career, I've experienced a wide range of emotions, from the excitement of new opportunities to the frustration of facing setbacks. At first, it seemed like these emotions were obstacles that I needed to avoid, but over time, I realized that they could be transformed into fuel for my personal and professional growth. For example, when I felt anxious before a big performance or a new project, I've learned to take that anxiety and turn it into energy. Rather than letting it paralyze me, I use it to prepare, to focus, and to push myself to do my best. That nervous energy can become the drive I need to step into situations with confidence and determination. Similarly, frustration can be a powerful motivator. There have been moments in my life when I felt disappointed or disheartened by the challenges I faced. But instead of allowing those feelings to hold me back, I began to channel them into resilience. Frustration, when harnessed properly, can drive you to innovate, to think outside the box, and to find new solutions to old problems. It's about taking those feelings of defeat and transforming them into a challenge that you're determined to overcome. The same is true for other emotions like sadness, anger, or even jealousy. These emotions, while often seen as negative, can be powerful forces for change. When I've experienced setbacks or moments of sadness, I've allowed myself to feel those emotions fully, but then used them as a source of strength. I've learned to turn sadness into empathy, anger into a passion for change, and jealousy into a drive to improve myself. Harnessing emotions isn't about controlling them or denying their existence. It's about acknowledging them and choosing to use them as powerful tools for growth. When we embrace our emotions and allow them to guide us, they push us to take action, face challenges head on, and achieve things we never thought possible. Emotions are not weaknesses. They are the fuel that can propel us forward toward our most ambitious goals. Self-care is often overlooked in the hustle and bustle of life, yet it is one of the most vital practices we can embrace for our emotional, mental, and physical well-being. In today's fast-paced world, where we are constantly striving to meet deadlines, expectations, and responsibilities, it's easy to forget that taking care of ourselves is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We often prioritize work, relationships, and other obligations over our own health, but neglecting self-care can lead to burnout, stress, and even resentment. I've learned the hard way that you cannot give your best to others or to your goals if you are running on empty. I've faced moments in my career and personal life when I was pushing myself too hard, neglecting the simple practices that helped me feel balanced and energized. There were times when I felt like I had to constantly prove myself, and in that pressure, I overlooked my own needs. But over time, I realized that taking time for self-care isn't about being selfish. It's about recognizing your limits and honoring them so that you can show up as your best self. Self-care can take many forms, and it looks different for everyone. For me, it's about finding moments of stillness in my day to recharge. Whether it's through meditation, reading a book, going for a walk, or even just taking a few deep breaths, these small acts of care have a profound impact on my mental clarity and emotional balance. It's about listening to your body and your mind, acknowledging when you need rest, and being kind enough to give yourself permission to take a break. It's also important to recognize that self-care isn't just about physical rest, it's about emotional and mental well-being too. Practicing self-care means setting boundaries, saying no when necessary, and not feeling guilty about taking time for yourself. It means acknowledging your emotions, processing them, and allowing yourself to heal. It's about nurturing your own mental health by removing toxic influences and surrounding yourself with positivity. Ultimately, self-care is essential because it helps us maintain a sense of equilibrium in our lives. When we take care of ourselves, we become better equipped to handle life's challenges, face adversity with strength, and be more present and compassionate in our relationships with others. It's not a one-time practice, but an ongoing commitment to ourselves. And when we make self-care a priority, we can show up more fully, more authentically, and more powerfully in everything we do.